Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events.
Well, good morning. The time being 9 a.m, I declare open the general meeting for the Gladstone Regional Council for the 18th of April 2023. We'll call for apologies, councillors. We have received an apology from Councillor Branthwaite. Can I have a move that apology be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Trevor. Seconded, Councillor O'Grady. Put the motion. All in favour? It's carried. The next item on the agenda is messages of condolence. Do we have any messages of condolence? No messages of condolence. The next item on the agenda is prior notifications of conflicts of interest, and I'll hand to Deputy Mayor Councillor Goodluck.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I, Councillor Khan Goodluck, inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in agenda item G/4.3, Boyne-Tannum Turtleway Artscape proposed projects, as I am the President of the Boyne-Tannum Arts Business and Community Association, which auspices the Turtleway Artscape Group. As a result of this conflict, I will leave the meeting for the consideration of item G/4.3. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. No decision required as you're just leaving the meeting. Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mayor Matt. I, Councillor Glenn Churchill, inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in agenda item G4.4, Community Investment Program Destination Event Application. I provide my volunteer services as an honorary percussion tutor and as member of the International Percussion Society to perform for and play with the Gladstone Thistle pipes and drums. The band has previously been invited to lead the parade and may do so again in 2023. I received no remuneration for this service. Further, I'm a member of a country rock and rhythm band called Sand. Sand is 3 qualified musicians who perform a variety of gigs for community events, charities, fundraisers and negotiated contracted performance agreements. We have been invited to appear and perform in this year's 1770 Festival program on the main stage Sunday 21st of May. As Sand's performance is likely to be a remunerated gig, I will leave the meeting for the consideration of this agenda item G4.4.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Again, no resolution required. Any further conflicts of interest? No further conflicts of interest. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Mayor's statement on current issues. And I just want to give a shout out, obviously, to everyone involved with Easter in Gladstone, particularly to Kylie and her team, and Kim and everyone, Felicity in the audience there as well. But of course, all the volunteers, not only at Gladstone Festival and events, but at the Port Curtis Sailing Club, Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, and just right across the Gladstone region for what was a fantastic Easter in Gladstone. Our village was absolutely pumping, the yacht club was absolutely pumping. Harbour Festival was packed, and of course, it wasn't just in the city, even as far as the Boyne Valley at the Boyne Valley Music Campout. It's been called the Country Music Campout for years. It takes me a while to get the change of name, but the Boyne Valley Music Campout was absolutely packed as well. So well done to everyone involved in Easter in Gladstone. Of course, the 75th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. And congratulations to Celestial, who took out line honours, and Joanne Brodie, who got the Courier Mail Cup. So well done to everyone who participated in that event. 75 years of our Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Races. Pretty significant event too. And the live stream was very well done again as well. So well done to Grant Cooper and the team at Cooper Mackenzie Marketing and the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, partnering with Council and of course major sponsor of the Gladstone Ports Corporation. It wouldn't happen without the sponsors. Also, in the last few weeks, we have had a celebrated Youth Week. Well done to our events team and our Youth Council for putting on a fantastic Youth Week program. I attended one of the events at the cinemas, and the kids seem to have, younger generation, I should say, not necessarily all kids, had a fantastic Youth Week experience. Also up to the caves and a number of other events, not just in the Gladstone region, but right around central Queensland. So well done to everyone involved in Youth Week. And of course, the Speedway is back in Gladstone at our fantastic motorsport precincts. Well done to everyone involved, obviously Bob McCosker and just everyone who has done so much in getting our Speedway back together at our motorsport precinct in Banarrabee. It is the right place to host Speedway events. Of course, we have the motocross there, we have our drag racing there, we have our car club there, we have our Learn to Drive there, and now we have a fantastic Speedway. That is the envy of many, many Speedway organisations right around the country because they've done it right. Absolutely packed and sold out first event. About 2,700 people, I believe, attended on the weekend. So well done to everyone involved in making that happen. I know that particularly so many hours, volunteer hours, and so much of not just Bob's but other people's small businesses have been involved in getting that track to the standard it is. And it is of national quality. It's very, very good. Well done to everyone there. And look forward to the next Speedway, of course, at that, as I said, amazing motorsport precinct. Coming up in the Gladstone region, we have the 70th anniversary of the Miriam Vale Rodeo. That's this weekend, Saturday the 22nd of April, of course, at the Miriam Vale Showgrounds. Gates open 6 a.m, rodeo starts at 8. So if you like your rodeo, make sure you get to Miriam Vale for the 70th anniversary rodeo this weekend. The 70 Festival is coming up on the 19th to the 21st of May. That includes the art show, which is running from the 17th to the 21st of May. And then, we, of course, we have the Boyne-Tenham Hookup. That will be the 28th. I've got here the 28th to the 30th of September, but that's not right. It's it's happening on the May Day long weekend, so I'll correct that. But obviously we know when the Boyne-Tenham Hookup is, so make sure you get involved. If you haven't got your tickets, everyone knows Australia's largest family fishing festival, and a whole bunch of prizes that you can have, and many that you don't even have to catch a fish for. But good to see this year that there's some more prizes for the people who are catching fish as well. So well done to the volunteers at Boyne-Tenham Hookup. Will be an amazing weekend. This Saturday, the BITS Medical Centre is celebrating 15 years, so congratulations to Gladstone and his team. That's just a fantastic facility to have in Boyne Island, obviously now operating for 15 years, so congratulations to them. And 50, I think it's 50 years, but it could be maybe it's 40, I have to check. Dr. Diefenbach is celebrating 50, there you go. I mean, I remember when I was a young fella going to Dr. Diefenbach, I think it was in Auckland Street. Yes, it wasn't always the fun time to go to the doctor when you're younger, but Dr. Diefenbach, a fantastic and well-respected doctor in our Gladstone region. He's been operating out of the Boyne Medical Centre now for many years. So most people in our region, especially the locals, will have been to see him at some point in time. So congratulations, Dr. Diefenbach, to yourself and Nerilyn and the family. Thank you for your service to the Gladstone region over 50 years. Walking for Warriors endurance challenges this Saturday as well, and just a whole bunch of other activities. And of course, before our next council meeting will be Anzac Day. So if you would like to hop on the council website, you'll see up-to-date times for services, but they are, Anzac Day services will be hosted in Gladstone, dawn and a main service, Boyne Island, Calliope, Mount Larkham, Agnes Water, Rosedale, Miriam Vale, Baroran, Turkey Beach and Yabobo will all host Anzac Day services. So jump on our website and have a look for the actual times for those. A couple of services will be dawn and main. Some will just be dawn and some will just be main services. So, as I said, check out the website for all the details there. And that is the Mayor's statement on current issues. The next item on the agenda, G2.1, is the confirmation of the meeting for the 4th of April 2023. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Moved. Seconded, Councillor Cameron. Any business arising? No business arising. I put the motion, a true and correct record. All in favour? Motion's carried. We have no deputations registered this morning, councillors, so I'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is officers' reports. And the first officers' report is G4.1, the monthly financial statements for the period ending the 31st of March 2023. And I'll hand over to the General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk, Mark Holmes. Thank you, Mark.
Morning, Mayor. Morning, councillors. This item is your monthly financial statements through to the end of March, which takes us essentially to 3/4 of the way through the current financial year. Looking through that report, you'll see that our recurrent revenue is sitting at around about 64% of where we would hope it to be, and there's probably 2 or 3 big items that lead us to that current estimate. That is because of the receipt with respect to our financial assistance grant. So we'll get a determination with respect to that in the May budget. So we'll see the balance of that grant flow at that time. You'll note that rates revenue is tracking just behind at 68%. It is our biggest item, but it does drag that down. We are accruing that month by month, the general rate, but we do have that big water consumption levy that is around the $8 to $9 million mark that we'll see in the second half of the year that'll come in to pull that up. And the other component in there is our income tax equivalent from the Gladstone Area Water Board, which we'll generally expect a receipt in hopefully May, June. We have received some preliminary advice from the state government with respect to some timings on those. So we'll hopefully start to see that in May, June. With respect to our expenses, tracking overall just below forecast, with obviously some ups and downs with respect to that. Employee benefits is tracking just above at the moment. We do have a vacancy rate there of around about 9.2% averaged out through the financial year. But to cover that though, we have had we are seeing in some places some increased overtime costs. so that is offsetting that somewhat. In our contractors and consultant spend, 19.2 million out of a $34 million forecast. Did ask for a split of that. We're working through that, and they'll come through in your next report. So that split is essentially $5.2 million has been spent on consultants year to date, and $14 million has been spent on contractors. And with the large proportion of that forecast being on the contractor spend. So only $5.7 million is our budgeted consultant spend, and the balance is our contractors. So essentially, that's where we provide that additional support to our community and to our work teams to deliver those services. With respect to our capital spend, we'll see that we are tracking in around $44 million, including our commitments. The forecast is that we'll get to in around $53 million. So still some big steps to go to get to that point, but we do have some large commitments for some fleet items and the like that'll see us go close to that should that hit. With respect to our outstanding rates, we've seen that plateau this month, and so it's still tracking in line with the previous year. So just marginally, we're at 5.01 at the end of March 23. We're at 5.1 at the end of March 22. The reason for that is we've now our water consumption rates for the first half of the financial year have now become overdue. So they're now in that outstanding balance. So that's why we've seen that rate plateau. But happy to take any questions with respect to all parts of the report.
Thanks, Mark. Questions to General Manager, please? No? Oh. Councillor Hanson.
I'm happy to move the report as presented, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. I'm very surprised. You always have a question on the finances. Very good. Moved, Councillor Hanson. Seconded, Councillor O'Grady. Any further comments, questions? Put the motion. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you. We move to the next item on the agenda, which is amendments to statutory delegations, CEO, Council to CEO. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we do from time to time, we do a periodical assessment of legislative changes that have come through, and what we've got here is a list of those changes that have come through from September through to February that require us to essentially make some additional delegations to effectively outwork those legislative changes. So we get King & Company to provide an assessment of those. So King & Company are that legal provider for LGAQ and most local councils. So they provided that assessment for that, and those the summary of those changes are in the attachment to the report. There's 6 essentially acts that have seen those predominant changes included therefore, but it's presented there for your discussion and approval.
Councillor Goodluck.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mark, or perhaps Lisa, are you happy to move the motion? I just did have one query under the Industrial Relations Act 2016. An employer being able to request proof of pregnancy in order to consider an application for maternity or paternity leave. What sort of proof might we request? Is it a photo of the belly, or?
It's generally just a doctor's certificate confirming the pregnancy, and I guess it is more relevant for the partner of the lady who is pregnant to provide the certificate.
Is that something that we have an issue with? Or?
No, actually, we've actually got it as common practice. It actually happens in practice now,
Okay.
And there's never been any issues to date.
Right.
So
That's
that's
all right.
it's
I
actually
just
one of
found
those
that
things I actually
curious.
asked for a question because it is a practice that we've had for quite some time to just get a medical certificate. And I've probably asked a similar question to your good self. Why do we need that? But it potentially isn't around some of those claims for paternity leave and the like.
Yeah, and 30-odd years ago, I actually had to provide a certificate as well. So it's been in practice for many, many years.
Fair enough. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mayor Matt. I've got a couple of questions, and I'm happy to second Councillor Goodluck's motion if I support the delegations. But I just want to get some clarification on a couple of points, and one was the one in relation to what Councillor Goodluck raised as well, pregnancy in order, and we've resolved that one. in number 1, animal care and protection, I just need an example. What are we talking about when someone has to provide a certificate of a procedure performed on a dog or an animal prior to the pound taking possession of the dog or animal? When I read that, I thought, have they got to provide the certificate before we take possession of the dog and animal? Because if it's a vicious dog, you'd be taking possession of the dog whether it's got a certificate or not. And in light of what's happened in recent times with vicious dogs, I don't think we're going to be waiting around for a certificate.
Yeah, and it's not only us as a local government that can exercise and can make this request, it's also organisations such as the RSPCA, so they'll be using this legislation as well. From what I imagine, if we impound an animal and it's assessed as being able to be rehomed, in some cases we'll actually desex it or microchip it. So this legislation gives you the ability to issue a certificate around that.
Okay, so because we're the operator of the pound, we're required to provide the certificate of the procedure and make that available for public inspection.
Yes,
Yes,
that would be
yeah.
if we've essentially performed that procedure or asked for that procedure to
Ourselves.
occur, and then we've essentially rehomed the animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
in our case, we actually send our animals to the rescue organisations and they do the rehoming function for us. A lot of councils actually do the rehoming function themselves. So they would organise a vet to desex and then provide a certificate to that effect.
Okay, then it might have just been the wordsmithing or the way I interpreted it. Okay, that's understandable. My other one was in relation to the Nature Conservation Planning Act. These new provisions relate to internal review of decisions made by the state under the Act, delegating the powers to the CEO to seek an internal review of any decision made by the state government in relation to council's operations and or our approvals under the
Yes.
Act. I'd
So-
like to understand if that also is relevant to our planning scheme, because we have seen that happen over time with our planning scheme when we make a decision relevant to our region, and then that is overridden by the Queensland government. Is that part of that?
So this is not unlike our own internal review process. So if the state has made a decision under this particular legislation and we may not totally agree with that, we can actually ask the CEO of the department to internally review that decision. So that's basically the power.
So yes, that includes the planning scheme as well?
No, just to clarify,
No,
this is
just-
only for the
no.
Nature Conservation Act.
Oh, only for the Nature
Yes,
Conservation
yes,
Act?
Yeah.
All right, okay then, all right. Fine, and my last one was in dot point number 6, Residential Tenancies and Rooming Accommodation Act 2008. Is this only for council-owned properties, or is this carte blanche across the whole region, including council-owned properties?
Yeah, this legislation is obviously state legislation and applies to the state of Queensland. We've got the delegations purely, and it's one that we probably wouldn't exercise. It's only if we're operating a residential tenancy, yes.
So that was the intent of my question. This is
Yeah.
not carte blanche. This is just if we were operating.
Yeah.
This is not private property owners or the provisions for private residential tenancies. It is?
That's correct, yes. And
Those-
Yeah.
you do have a number of residential tenancies, and this legislation applies to councils and it does to
Anyone else? Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
So we're actually exercising this power as the property owner that's in a residential tenancy agreement with another party.
Okay, thank you for that. So option 1 obviously is the, anyway, happy to second your
Khan's
Motion.
motion, yeah. Before we do that, can you explain to me more about the power, as trustee, I think it is, no, power of employer to apply to the Commission for an order declaring an entity other than on organisation to be an eligible entity? What does that mean? Obviously, it's to do with enterprise bargaining. It's in the Industrial Relations Act. I think it's IRA 160. I'm not sure what is meant by that.
Yeah, so my understanding.
161, sorry, yep.
My understanding of this is potentially where we've got a party that's brought a complaint to the Industrial Relations Commission, but they don't actually have standing in it. So we're basically saying to the Commission that this party doesn't have standing in this particular matter.
And is that currently council's delegated authority, or council's authority to do?
Yeah, council as the entity, so this delegation is asking for that power to be delegated to the CEO rather than it being exercised in basically this forum.
Is it possible to give me an example of who an entity might be?
It could be, let me see, it could be a union that's seeking to represent an individual that doesn't have the right to represent that particular person in the matter. So,
Okay.
probably.
I'll let it go then, because I'll probably have a conflict if we keep talking about it. So.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks. No. Yeah. Thanks.
Can I just go back to my question in relation to the planning scheme again?
Yep.
Yes, certainly.
Which was the Nature Conservation Act. I understand that it's relevant to the Nature Conservation Act 1992.
Yes.
But within our planning schemes and within our building approvals and development approvals, surely the Nature Conservation Act becomes a relevant legislation in relation to approvals under our planning scheme. So I'm just trying to understand if we can appropriately review if the state government makes a decision otherwise.
Yeah, the section in question refers only to decisions made where a delegation arises under the Nature Conservation Act. So if it's a decision under the Planning Act, even though the Nature Conservation Act may be considered or feed into it, if the delegation to make that decision stems from anywhere else other than the Nature Conservation Act, it won't apply.
Okay. All right, thank you. That clarifies it, and I appreciate that.
Thanks. I was just confirming whether I had a conflict or not, and
Yeah.
it doesn't appear. Right, okay. So I have a mover in Councillor Goodluck that these authorities be delegated to the CEO. Second in Councillor Churchill. Any further comments or questions? I'm going to put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which Councillor Goodluck has declared a conflict in, G4.3. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Mark. And that's the Boyne-Tennant Turtleway Artscape proposed projects. And I'll hand over to the General Manager of Community Development and Events, Kylie Lee, and Kim Markson. Well, I'm not sure of Kim's title at the moment. I think she's been seconded.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and councillors. Good morning. Yes, at the moment, in this capacity, Kim is currently the Manager of Arts and Entertainment, and after this report, Kim will be the Acting Manager of Strategy and Improvement. So, many skills, but at the moment, let's call her Manager of Arts and Entertainment. Thank you very much. This morning, we're presenting a 5-year project plan for a public art proposal for the Boyne-Tennant Turtleway Artscape and their associated projects. This request is in line with our public art policy, which requires endorsement by council. I can confirm that as per the policy, the Regional Arts Development Fund Committee has provided their endorsement of this particular proposal. So Turtleway Artscape are seeking in principle support for council to use the identified pieces of land for several projects. This in principle support will allow the group to progress with their plans for project delivery. There's 4 main projects proposed. The first one is the Boyne Smelters Walkway, which is a celebration of Boyne Smelters' 40-year anniversary in Boyne and Tannum. This particular project will celebrate their Boyne Smelters achievements and their environmental initiatives, and will involve local artists, First Nation artists, and potentially other members of the community. That particular project is proposed to install art along the pathway from Wyndham Park to BSL. The second proposal is around some recycled plastic benches, which were to be designed by local artists and installed across the Turtleway walkway. There is within this proposal an idea to run a competition with primary and high school students to design certain decorative artwork for the benches. And there's also within this proposal the commitment to ensure that the benches are compliant with Australian standards and are safe for the community. With this particular proposal, there is a request for some in-kind support from Council, which we can provide in the form of some concrete slab work. This is a minimal cost, around $2,500, and can be accommodated by our Parks Program delivery team. The third project within the 5-year plan is the Sports Walkway Art Project, and councillors may remember this one from the deputation from Turtle Way Artscape. And this is a proposal to paint artwork on the pathway along the Dennis Sports Field, representing the different sporting activities in the area, contained within the shape of a turtle. Again, there is potential to include the community in that particular project as well. And the final project is the Boyne Lions Club Labyrinth project, which is proposed to be erected in the Lions Park at Boyne Island. There is a little bit of further work that Turtle Way Artscape will work through and present to Council on this particular project, but it is a celebration of 40 years, is it 40 or 50? 40 years of the Lions Club in Boyne Tanham. So today we're seeking Council's endorsement of the 5-year public art plan. The specific sites are included in the resolution, which are the pathway from Wyndham Park to Boyne Smelters, the Canoe Point wetlands, the Tanham Sands boat ramp, the Boyne River mouth at Island Esplanade near Wyndham Park, the boat ramp on the corner of Malpass Street, and the pathway along Dennis Park Sports Field. Kim's here. Kim's actually worked with Turtle Way Artscape and can answer any questions councillors may have with regard to this project.
Thank you, Carly. Questions, councillors? Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just a quick comment. Thank you for incorporating the RADF committee to have their say as well. And this is extremely exciting, very exciting. But in your summary there, you've indicated Council is seeking to increase public art across the region, and this proposal aligns with Council's public art policy, and I understand that we would be well aware of that we've constantly been reviewing the public arts policy so that we can get it right. But when we consider that there's been approvals in recent times for Auckland Street development, public art, the walkway, the grain silos is work in progress. Calliope, we've got one very proactive artist out there at Calliope that has been doing things on some of the trees out there and wants to do much more. Agnes 1770 is being proactive in their arts fraternity, and Miriam Vale and probably others as well. So my question is probably more pertinent to what's our master plan? And I know we've had discussions about it, but we've got this, and this is an exciting project. So when we consider all these other ones, and the RADF committee met during the week, and we've got an arts fraternity that are being very proactive at the moment, and that'll continue, but what's our master plan for the region in the development of public art? Because, you know, if you get it right, it looks glorious, it's appealing, it's attractive, and it strengthens and enhances our destination. But if you get it wrong, then we end up with bits and pieces, and so I'm just trying to understand how this all fits in to a whole of region approach to public art.
Yeah, so we are currently scoping a public art master plan, and that will be ready for delivery by June 30 this year. It's really focusing on the policy side, so how do we make it easy for artists to do public art and work with council. It's also going to identify the locations that council really want to activate with public art, so that we do have some consistency around public art in the region. It will obviously take into consideration the work that these groups are already doing in activating spaces and make sure that we work in with them and complement what they're doing. And it will have a large element of community engagement.
Okay, so you mentioned June the 30th. June the 30th, scoping out to go forward, which obviously would be something for 2023-2024 budget. to consider the master planning process? Is that how it will unfold? And not to take the wind out of the sails of any of these projects, but getting it right, that was all.
Yeah, so the master plan itself will, I guess, define council's position on public art and the process that artists are to follow. It won't so much be around council doing public art.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor O'Grady, then Councillor Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kim or Kylie? I'm just not quite sure. With these stencils, how do they propose, like, give us an example, but like there's lots of sports, there's no, like NRL's not on here, which is a big thing down at Tanham, Tanham Boyne, now there's netball not on there and whatever else, so how will they go? Will they go out to all the community sporting groups? How will that work?
Yeah, with all of the projects that they've proposed, there is a lot of community engagement. So the community will have a say in what's represented there. The focus for the Dennis Park ones were the sports that are played at Dennis Park. But yes, they will certainly be engaging with sporting clubs, schools, making sure that they're capturing everybody.
Right, okay, that's okay.
I guess with those ones, it's also worth noting that they're aware they won't have a lot of longevity.
Yeah.
So they may change down the track. Being painted on a footpath, they're not going to last forever.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, I think the plan that you're talking about should be developed, Councillor, that it's probably is taking away the icing on the cake for this project, because I congratulate the group on what they've already done over the years, and looking forward to this next exciting phase that the group is putting forward. I'm happy to move that items 1, 2 and 3 of the officer's recommendation this morning. I'm just hoping that in moving forward, one other sport can be considered at Dennis Park, and that's hockey.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. Can I get a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Muscat. Any further questions for Kylie or Kim? Too easy. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. We'll have Deputy Mayor back in the room, please. And then we'll move to G4.4, which Councillor Churchill has a conflict. Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Next item on the agenda, councillors, is G4.4, which is Community Investment Program Destination Event Application. Destination Event Application, and I'll hand back to Kylie and Bri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councillors. And yes, I do have Council's Manager of Community Partnerships, Bri Jansen, with me today. This is an exciting application as part of our destination events category of our community investment program for the 1770 Festival in Agnes Water 1770. As per Council's policy, the application has been assessed by a panel of council officers. The panel assessment was very favourable at 87% and has been recommended for full funding. The 1770 Festival has been an amazing event for the region, and particularly for 1770 Agnes Water, and it was actually established in 1992, so it has longevity and is going back to a free festival for the community. The event organisers have requested $30,000 for this year's event, which is a reduced amount from 2021 and 2022, and I invite council's questions and potentially endorsement.
No, fantastic event. I was still in high school when it started, so
Just.
Thank
And
you.
I went to the very first one, Mr. Mayor.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. Was it a dirt road back then? Yeah. Questions, councillors? I think it's a great report. Summarises what needs to be said. Mover, Councillor Goodluck, get a question or moving? Move, Councillor Goodluck. Seconded, Councillor Cameron. Any further questions? Put the motion. All in favour? Carried. Right, that's as easy as it gets. Right?
It's an example of the policy working.
Sometimes.
No, yeah, well, this is an
work.
example it's an example of a policy working and where all the questions have been answered and the criteria has been acted on.
Yeah. Thank you, Kylie. All right, councillors, that's it for the general agenda. We'll move on to councillor reports. Is there any councillor reports? I don't believe there's any written reports. Any verbal reports? Can I throw Councillor O'Grady? You have, is that the Ride for Life event that I mentioned earlier? Do you have more information on that?
I do. The Ride for Life is on the 13th of May. So we were going to be, they were going to include mountain biking, but unfortunately insurance will not pay for mountain biking. And but we're encouraging people that may like to mountain bike to sign up and register their vehicle, so they then can take their vehicle. So, but yeah, it should be a great weekend. 8 Ball Aikens will be playing at Yabobo, and we've got
And?
Sand.
Thank you.
Yes, I was. Yes, go on. Yeah. So
Sorry.
yeah, so Sand will be there as well, and I think there might be some other local bands as well. So, but if you get online on Ride for Life's website, you can actually get a $35 package or a $50 package. So the $35 package will get you into the event and give you, that's for your dinner and whatever else as well. So you don't have to actually go on the bike ride. You can go to the event for $35. But yeah, just so everybody's inclusive. The night before, council are actually putting on their movie night. So for everybody that goes the night before, so you'll be able to, and all the locals be able to turn up to the movies. I can't recollect what the movie is, but yeah, it should be great. So, but anyway, I'll fill you in next meeting.
Thank you, Councillor O'Grady. Councillor Churchill.
No, just further to that, and there are, as you indicated, Councillor O'Grady, there are the local musicians offering their services as well, and I think Ethereal could be another band as well. Yeah. Mayor Matt, this might be a little bit different, but I wanted to give a shout out from the Harbour Festival. I know there's volunteers and Gladstone Festival events and everybody that was involved, and you covered that extremely well at the beginning, but with your permission, I would like to just give a shout out to these particular people: Jaden Allen, Josh Volks, Josh Loveeye, Luke Lowe, Kyle Weeks, Tom Hooley, Ben Brent, Dan Clark, and Kai Tapira. They're all of our Gladstone Regional Council engineers that are actively involved at front of house, monitor, behind the scenes, lighting. And when we and everyone in our community enjoys such great productions that are put on regularly, we need to understand that even though they are perhaps remunerated by virtue of their circumstances, they're still packing up at 3 o'clock in the morning when most of us are having a nice sleep. So it was just a quick shout out for those people that are there every time for all these major events to make sure what is delivered professionally and very effectively and enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Any further councillor reports?
Just a
Councillor
quick
Hanson.
report on last night. Councillor O'Grady and Councillor Churchill and myself attended the Port Curtis District Scouts reports evening, and also the Awonga Campsite Executive Team report for 2022-2023 year. And everything's going well. They're losing a few scouts though over the years, and that's a little bit of a worry. So in moving forward, very positive. They're very positive financially, and I congratulate them.
28th to the 30th of April, as I said, May Day long weekend, but just clean up is on May Day. And there was something else on May Day too, so no doubt there'll be some activities up the main street and down to the Gladstone Marina for a family fun day as well. Councillors, there's no urgent business, no notices of motion and no confidential items. I declare the meeting closed at 9:40 a.m. Thank you.